2022. First order of business is to do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I also want to say that the Mashpee Public Schools recognize and honor the many generations of Wampanoag people who have lived and been sustained in this territory for more than 10,000 years. First order of business is to ratify the agenda of January 19th. Does anyone have any changes or anything we need to adjust? If not, I'll accept a motion to ratify.
Make a motion to ratify the agenda as presented.
Okay, thanks, Don. Motion by Don, second.
I'll second that.
By Matt. Any discussion? All right, Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Wow, good job, Don.
I
And I vote yes as well. Very good enunciation. Okay, so thank you for that. Next, do we have any public comments?
Not at this time.
Okay, great. You're cruising right along. So next we want to hear about our Mass Hire Artworks logo contest winner.
So, oh, good. Come on up. Sam, I'm seeing you in real life.
So, good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Funke, for those of you who haven't met me yet. I'm the Program and Data Manager at the Mass Hire Cape and Islands Workforce Board. I just want to thank Superintendent Patty DeBoer and Dr. Hope Hanscom for inviting me this evening, as I will be presenting our Artworks logo contest with their winner with their award tonight. The Artworks program is a program that's near and dear to all of our hearts at the CIWB. It is a program that is overseen by Connecting Activities, in which it's funded by the Department of Ed. Students are paired with a local artist in the region where they get to explore the creative economy and have a hands-on learning experience. So we are thrilled to announce that we're having our 25th anniversary this year. So in its honor, we had launched the Artworks logo contest. We had many submissions from Mashpee Public High School, so we were thrilled with that. We want to thank Michael Looney, Dr. Hope Hanscom, and Superintendent DeBoer, and as well as Deb Troyanos, as she had submitted many submissions from her students this year. So we are thrilled to present today's award with Stephanie Dillis-Grealish. Is she here tonight?
She is.
Stephanie, congratulations. Your logo really stood out, and we did give you a copy to all of us, as it truly resembled every artistic medium. We see a variety of mediums highlighted from our students that want to participate in the program. So this logo, printed to show everybody, truly presents that. So we are thrilled to give you your award, and we will be sure to highlight you if you're comfortable with it, and as well as your logo on all Artworks resources and materials, our social media, newsletter, all that good stuff. So throughout the fall. So congratulations.
Wow.
You are so welcome.
Congratulations.
Oh, perfect.
Mom, you want to get it?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to read it. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Can I just add to our partnership with the Mass Hire Workforce Board is incredibly strong. They provide us with funding and materials and time and support. Just, I can't even, Mr. Looney should come sometime and explain exactly all that they do. I'm lucky enough to be on the youth council for the Workforce Board, so I get to talk with Sam a lot. And I was so excited that we won the contest, because I was really hoping it would be something from that. So I'm so thrilled, Stephanie, for your
Yeah, thanks for coming, Sam. And Stephanie, congratulations. That's really something that, you know, it's a mark that you've made on the community that's going to be here whenever you're not. And we'll have a piece of you here. So that's great. Just so proud of you. All right, so while Hope is taking care of that for us, thank you so much. We're going to turn it over to our student representatives. You want to start with Skyla?
Sure.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Can't believe this is the start of my last year with Mashpee and the last year with the school committee, last of 4, and so I'm excited for the last few months. The senior class has already been accepted into 66 schools, and there have been over 147 acceptances so far. I added a couple more today, so it's probably around 67, 68. And we have an Instagram page called Mashpee Future Plans 2022 that we show when our students commit to if they're going to go to a school, or we have a couple of kids going into the military already. And so we currently have 16 students who have made those decisions already, so it's really cool to celebrate them in that way. On December 17th, we had a blood drive run by the National Honor Society that did a really good job with this event. They had about, I think, 40 people donate to the blood drive, and that was all people who were inside of the school. And so that was really beneficial for Cape Cod Healthcare, who really needed those donations. On Sunday, December 19th, the Mashpee Project 351 team hosted our 3rd annual Ride for Hunger, and this involved a lot of Mashpee students, families, and staff. Our ride raised over $500, and then with donations from a fall service drive led by Hannah Rogers, from Casey Coombs and Quashnet, we raised over $1,500 for Cape Kid Meals, which is the most we've raised out of any of our Mashpee fall service projects in the last 3 years. And so that was definitely something to celebrate with our 351 team. Our Mashpee students greatly enjoyed the winter break. A lot of people spent it resting and relaxing or with their families, some playing some sports. I mean, the transition back to school has definitely been different, and a lot of students testing positive and having to quarantine. It definitely makes the classroom dynamic a little different, especially in the first week when it felt like half the people were at home and the other half were in, and then the next week those people that were in school that week were at home, and the shifting was different. But we're hoping that it's going to seem to get a little better, and trying to stay optimistic with it as we get through the hardest part of the winter. Our sports went on pause, but have thankfully returned with winter track having success at their meets. I'm going to a hockey game after basketball practice tonight, and girls and boys varsity basketball have been getting back into their routines, and so all of us athletes are really grateful for the return, and we hope to stay healthy throughout the rest of the season. Just to highlight on the music side, Mr. T and Miss Mills keep posting videos of students singing, especially like Cheyenne during the holiday season, and they have some frequent performances on there since we don't get to see as many concerts with our current state, and so it's really cool to check out their music on there. And then this past weekend for Martin Luther King weekend, Project 351, we usually do an in-person day of service, but this year throughout the region we're making cut and tie blankets at home. Hannah Rogers and I from Mashpee are both doing that, and we're going to go to a baby center in Hyannis as our form of regional service. And so it's just really cool to see things keep going on, and yeah, so thanks so much.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. How's everyone's first month of 2022 been? I know it's been a little rocky, but I think in my overall perspective that it's been amazing. Can you believe that last week we had one of the coldest days of the year? I couldn't because I recently came back from vacation where I was in weather of 70 to 80 degrees, so I came back and it was 9 degrees outside. I was so shocked. So although the middle school basketball away game got canceled a few days ago, yesterday I believe, they still played a lot. They still played last Thursday at an away game, and even though they didn't win, they still had a lot of fun and did a great job because it was their first time like having a game since 2021, I guess you could say. They lost by only 1 point, so the score was 18-19. So they were super close, which means they had a fight to win. Another good note is the winter track had an away game last Friday, and Jake Saunders in 8th grade, he scored 3rd in his division with a time of 6 minutes and 3 seconds, which is really good. Techsperts, it's now known as like Tech Club because it's more broadened. So they had their first meeting as a new and improved Tech Club. While a few of the new members are working on creating a digital game, some others are brainstorming ways to incorporate helping the community in the form of digital art. So they're brainstorming ways that they can draw posters and things like that, which I think is pretty neat. We're still looking for a few more members, but everyone is welcome. So any grade, it's not really restricted to anything. Miss Weeks in the library had her first book club meeting of 2022, and she's also looking for more members, so I'm just putting that out there for anyone who wants to join. The band and music concert has officially been rescheduled to February 15th, which is exciting. I know a lot of band members that are excited for that. And they also have the chorus concert scheduled for 7 p.m. on the 17th. So those are both things to consider because I know a lot of students are very excited, and both the high school and the middle school this is coming up for both of them. So, National Junior Honor Society had a meeting last Friday from 2 to 2:30, and in the meeting we discussed a fundraiser where we're selling roses for Valentine's Day. It's only a few dollars, but I think it's like a really nice, thoughtful thought that we're doing. And the students got an email about how they can fill out a Google form for if they want to buy some or not. On the note of National Honor Society topic, some students from the middle school, high school have volunteered to come back here to Quashnet on the 3rd to give speeches to the new inductees of National Elementary Honor Society, which I thought was really nice. So Piper Mild is giving a speech about service, and Rory Glenn is giving one about scholarship. And there's also going to be a speech about character and leadership, which I think is really nice because the new inductees might feel nervous sometimes. So when students that had previously been in this National Elementary Honor Society come and talk to the new inductees, it's a good way of introducing the new role that they're going to be taking on. Now I know this may seem soon, especially because of the very cold weather last week, but many people from tennis last year are already preparing for spring tryouts. Everyone is welcome to try out, but if we don't have enough players like we did last year, we're going to merge the middle school and high school team, so the middle schoolers will just be put up to a bit of a higher level. I mean, they're not going to be put into play right away, but they'll be training for basically varsity. A calendar of exercises to work on for tryouts has been posted by Miley, our captain. And so it's like a different easy workout each day that's getting harder and progressively more complex as we go on throughout the month. And I think tryouts start in March. Well, that's all I have to share for this evening. Thank you for your time.
Any members of the committee have questions for Stephen?
I appreciate your optimism.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm jealous that you went away wherever you wanted.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know you have somewhere to go, so feel free to go.
Thank you.
All right. So, what happens if we drop the Zoom?
There's no one else on it.
Right.
So nothing.
But that should fix the audio problem.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna say yes.
try that?
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's leave, see what happens.
Just turn it off.
Can we unplug something and wait 5 seconds and then plug it back in? That's
Where's the
usually what I do. It is pretty distracting, but, so I apologize, Roxanne.
It's okay.
But we should just plow forward, I suppose. I haven't noticed whether it yeah, that's fine.
And my microphone is turned off, so you
Yeah.
might need to turn it back on.
Does that come through in the recordings, like the playbacks? Or is it just, are we just experiencing that in the?
I think we're just experiencing it.
I do hear it in the video when I'm editing this. I do hear it.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I know normally, Stacy, you're often on the Zoom, do you hear it?
I do not hear it bouncing like that when I'm on, no.
And just, I did not hear it at our last meeting.
Oh,
We did not have Mashpee TV in these. Yeah, I feel like.
Testing.
No, no.
Okay.
Thanks, Roxanne.
Waniki Sa, Natasawis Roxanne Mills Brown, the Education Director for the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe. And it's nice to be here, and we'll keep regular attendance from this point forward. A lot has happened since we last met with the school committee. With some of the highlights. And I'm just gonna recite a few of the more significant pieces that have occurred since we last spoke. So, since we last spoke, Falmouth has now joined the State Tribal Education Partnership. And the new document is up, hopefully in the Commissioner's office, awaiting his signature. And it will come back here to Mashpee for Patty's signature, and then to Falmouth for Lori Durr's signature. They're very much interested in the work that Mashpee School District and the tribe has accomplished to this point, and are excited to be a part of that. So I know we'll be asking for some of your assistance to kind of pave the way for different programming. Hopefully we can get the language program maybe remotely, or we can work something out at least so that that doesn't have to fall by the wayside. Something else is that we were awarded a new American Rescue Plan, American Indian Resilience and Education Grant. It's about $420,000. It's a 3-year grant. It's actually, the real purpose of that grant is to ensure that students enter school, remain in school, or re-enter school. So it's our job as the tribe to work closely with the LEAs to create and implement innovative cultural programming and academic programming that helps students to get their cultural education while getting their academic education, understanding the importance of school. And as we partner, we make that impression on our students. Some of the programming is college and career readiness, much like the Native Youth Community program that we had in NYCP, so college visits, family independent visits, help with the FAFSA or college applications, etc. Another aspect of that is our education supplemental academic program, which is a part of the State Tribal Education Partnership grant, but also this new grant. And so we've been able, with Patty and Mary Kate's assistance, we've been able to plan for implementation of that 2 days a week at Quashnet School from 3:35 to 4:30 every day, or not every day, Mondays and Fridays. And we're hoping to see some results that we can partner with the school to actually help fill in the gaps of some of the concepts and skills that students may be weak in, and then maybe keep them moving forward. Another part of that new grant is working with the LEAs to create structures or a structure at each of the LEAs if possible that represent Wampanoag life. And I know we have talked in the past about putting a WECU at least someplace here at Quashnet, but we're able to do that with any of the schools that would like to engage in a project like that. Bottom line is the students do the work with the culture keepers and mentors, advising and assisting. Another piece is building a Wampanoag village, a historic village. It would be an educational project. Again, students would be the constructors or the contractors for that work, but they would also be taught the history and be able to explain and translate for visitors, tribal and non-tribal people alike, as they come through the village and kind of go back in history. And a last piece, I think, is the digitization of the whaling exhibit. Our people, if some of you don't know, our people were great whalers. We had captains on ships, and our people sailed all the way around to Portugal, came back. Many of them did come back, but they were very well known and respected and hired onto ships, both Aquinnah and Mashpee men. And so we would like our children to understand that history, be able to track back to their ancestors, because it's not that long ago, but also be able to take this exhibit around to different districts and, I don't know, I guess powwows and fairs to educate not only the public but our own people. And the bottom line is students are doing the work, and they're getting the history and understanding place, connections, who they are as a people. And while we work with them through the school, we'll be having to develop another partnership that relates around data, and the data that we will need to show that we have been working with the LEAs and looking at the data to see how we've made progress. So that's something that's coming. And I think probably another, and I'll end here, is another significant piece is the work that we're doing with the Native North American History course with Megan McCauley and Brian. And it's really kind of exciting. And we have primary and secondary sources, we have content, we have Linda Coombs, Darius Coombs, and Talia Landry working with Megan on a regular schedule, a little bit formal, but Megan also has that opportunity to contribute information and formatting, and it hopefully is a real team effort, and I'm looking forward to taking a peek at their next meeting if it's in person or by Zoom. But it's a beginning, and I think once we get that beginning, there's always room for improvement, expansion, and I think one of the exciting pieces, it's a lot of history between Aquinnah or Gayhead and Mashpee, but also during certain times here, there's other things going on in the country, in Indian affairs or in the federal government. So it really will give a good perspective to kids coming through our homelands. As I said, I left the document with you, and I appreciate the time and the partnership, and I look forward to good things to continue.
Do you have an extra handout?
Oh, I put in the seats.
Okay. Do you have time for a quick question?
I do.
Okay, well, first of all, congratulations on the grant, that's
Thank
exciting.
And I think it really reflects, I think, the approach that you've taken as the head of the department. And I've, over the years since you've stepped into that position, I've seen capacity in the department increase, right? So there are more people, you know, working with the schools now than there have been that in my time on the committee at least. It seems like this is an opportunity, you're gonna need even more people. So is that, do you think you're gonna be adding more capacity within the tribe's education department to do that stuff?
Definitely. We have another project manager that we're looking to hire as well as an administrative assistant. Hopefully by the end of the month or the first week in February, we get that on the street, because it's a huge responsibility and there's lots of moving parts. But also within that, we'll be hiring a lot of contractors, culture keepers as we call them, tribal members, possibly other individuals that have that knowledge and those skills to be able to work with students and help us. So it really is a real good community opportunity. And like I say, we'll be partnering with the schools, because we'll need data. We'll have to, you know, work with the staff and ensure that we connect what we're doing with their education in the public system.
That's great. One thing I was thinking of is that, you know, also think of our schools as a resource to be problem solvers for some of the things associated with all of this. I mean, that sort of peer mentoring that we started up at the high school for the middle school students, and even the elementary kids. And I think it's kind of, I think I've seen Patty do more and more of like bringing our students in to help guide some of the activities and planning that we do. So it seems like there's going to be enough going on now that you can really maybe use the help of the students too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And as you say that, I would like to thank Patty, because she's been so helpful. And I think we wouldn't have got over this hump with the academic program without, you know, your help and support. So really want to say thank you, because that's been a long time coming. And it's kind of a pilot project, and we would really like to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you.
Great.
And Principal O'Brien as well. I think she's helped you a lot with that.
Yeah. It's a great team.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
Thank
tonight.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions before I let Roxanne go? Okay. All right, thanks, Roxanne. Okay, next on the agenda, we want to approve the minutes from January 5th. Oh, got my pages mixed up. This is no good. See, when I take the clip off, oh, they're double-sided now, that's why. And no wonder this thing looks so small. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so pages 1 and 2 of the packet. Do we have any, I'll take a motion to approve.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Great, motion by Dawn. Do I have a second?
One second.
Kathy seconds. Is there any discussion or any changes to the minutes? All right, Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you, Doc. Okay, so tonight is the night that we vote on our budget. So the FY23 budget is in the packet, including the CIP update on pages 3 to 16. For the awareness of the committee, we have next week, we have the CPC meeting related to the DPW request that you guys are aware of. Our capital requests, which include around $200,000 of technology. Is that right, Ashley? I'm stating that correctly. Will happen on the 25th at 1 p.m. That is a Zoom meeting. And then the day before, on the 24th, DPW will put forward their request, which,
Can I make
yeah, I'm just gonna turn to you one second, which includes not just the stadium, but some other projects as well. Go ahead,
Yes.
Patty.
I wanted to just correct, I got an update on when the DPW, and they're actually on the same day as us, so not the 24th. So at 1 o'clock, the only groups on the second day for the committee to review is school, planning and construction, and DPW. Those are on January 25th, but the school piece is at 1. And then it's disclosed. I gave you a handout at your seats, which is, and it's on there, it's a little bit updated of some things coming. It's the second one behind the updated dashboard. So that has some upcoming opportunities that you might want to go to.
All right, great, thank you. So, is there a motion to approve the FY23 budget?
I will make a motion that we approve the FY23 budget in the amount of $24,003,261, subject to $201,000 being removed from the budget if that amount is approved, or a lesser amount is approved by the CIP committee.
Okay, we have a motion by Don. Is that okay, that motion?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so it's basically the FY23 budget, subject to the CIP request.
That's correct.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kathy seconds. Any discussion? All right, I'm gonna move for the vote then. Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So it's unanimous. All right. Next we have Stacy back there somewhere. There she is. Our district COVID-19 health coordinator.
And you do have the updated dashboard that was handed out to you, which was through 3:30 today.
Great, thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening.
So according to the agenda, we'll start with the dashboard. So I know Mrs. DeVore said you have the copy updated as of 3:30 today. So as you can see, it's been a busy January. I know technically we're looking at December and January, but we have, Mr. Mowers, you can do the math on that too, tripled, I don't know. So we're quite far ahead, quadrupled, thank you. So, and if you look at where we were last year, for January, we had 35 positive student cases, and as of today's date, and January is not over, 291. So I believe that just speaks for itself. Everybody knows the state that we're in. Does anyone have any questions to the data that's on the data dashboard?
So have we seen, or have you seen any downward trend, or has it stayed consistent since the first?
So since the first, we saw a spike. We were monitoring about 350 to 400 cases, families, students, staff. And this afternoon, just now, we're down to about 260. So we do have a slight trend, but if you look at where we were for December, we were at 40 to 50 monitoring, at 100 the max. So, I mean, technically, yes, but it's still up there.
Yes, it's heading in the right direction.
It's heading in the right direction. Hopefully we'll stay that way.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the committee? Okay.
And then next was test kits. I know many of you probably saw the update from the governor yesterday. As you know, we did have distribution of test kits to our staff that rolled out when we returned from break, and that went quite well. We are in the process of participating in the new program that DESE held a meeting on today to do the state program for test kits for students and staff. It would be an opt-in program. So we're, everybody has, all the districts that want to participate have to have their request in by Friday. We've already submitted ours. Given that we had quite high staff opt-in for the round of test kits that we gave out, we and have had great positive response, and thanks for that. We have opted in, and hoping that staff will also opt in the same way that they have, so requesting enough kits for every staff, anticipating that that will be the continuing moving forward. And Desi, in another week or so, will be offering the option for parents to opt in. Those letters will be forthcoming in information and the request to order. So we are moving forward in that direction. As you all know, we switched how we were contact tracing, just given the amount of positivity. So we are still contact tracing 0 to 3, and as in timely manner as humanly possible. Nurses have all come in to take call in extra time and put in extra effort, but it is 7 days a week, and it's quite a high need. So we're doing it as best and as timely as possible as we can. As you heard yesterday from the governor, maybe shifting to, and the town's boards of health are no longer contact tracing. It's switched back to having individuals who are positive contact trace and tell their own close contacts. And that will be the shift for schools to moving forward. So this new program with test kits will help support that and give us an opportunity to look at symptomatic individuals and increase testing demands. With this new program, districts, if they opt to do home test kits distribution, you either have to participate in weekly COVID safety checks, which, as you know, Mashpee does, or symptomatic. We are not switching to symptomatic testing. We still want people who are ill to please stay home if you are ill. With the availability of test kits, that should help testing moving forward, and that has not been a barrier. And then again, we'll continue with our weekly COVID safety checks, which, as you may know already, they are PCR double pooled. So we shouldn't see the delay that we saw the week after break with labs being so busy. And our double pools will continue to be PCR, which, as we have all known and learned, that if you're fully vaccinated, that is how your positive asymptomatic test will show, not necessarily on an antigen if you're not symptomatic. So we are well structured to meet this shift ahead of the curve, so to speak, and we'll continue to do so. And as of this week, we have 306 people consented to weekly COVID testing. Again, if you're not present on Tuesday, you aren't in the pool. And if you're positive, you're not in the pool. And if you're in quarantine, you're not in school, so you're not in the pool. So our numbers shift, but as you saw last week, it was 178 for the last time we had our weekly test. We will resume on Tuesday with the Monday holiday and having the increase that we had with numbers of positives that we needed to redo our pools. With school closed on Monday, my backup plan has always been we prep the pools the week prior because of what you have to do those, and I've always had a Monday as my backup to my backup plan unless we had a Monday holiday. And unfortunately, we had a Monday holiday. So moving forward, that shouldn't be an issue since we don't have Monday holidays for a while. So
That's not unfortunate.
So that's true. So moving forward, trying to have backup plans to all these backup plans, but we should be in good shape. Brought on some more staff, we've been doing continued training, and we will be back up and running on Tuesday. So things are moving along quite well considering what we're dealing with, I believe. Questions on that?
Can you just briefly explain how the home or the testing kit program is working, or will work?
So as of the call I was on today, they are the same iHealth test that we gave out to staff already. There's 2 kits, 2 tests to a kit. Right now, Desi's presentation today was that they would be distributed to individuals who opt in. It's not required. We are not able to require testing. So individuals who opt in will be distributed a kit. They'll have enough for X number of weeks. Those are all details that are being worked out. If you opt in, and the plan will be to test weekly with those, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. And you'll also have a backup kit if you became symptomatic, but it's surveillance testing. So just like our weekly pool testing, It's surveillance testing, but it is an antigen. So if you are vaccinated, it may not pick up a positive as readily as it would in an unvaccinated individual. But if you're using testing frequently, you should have enough viral load if you were an asymptomatic positive. So right now, the anticipated plan would be our pool testing is on Tuesdays. We would encourage those who opt in to be testing on Fridays. And after you do it for a few weeks, you'll have consistent surveillance of where you are if you were an asymptomatic positive person, or catch you before you become symptomatic. So if you test every Tuesday and Friday, we should catch it sooner so that we're slowing spread. And that is the whole purpose of surveillance testing. And that is the way of our future, living in a pandemic that we are, because you want to try to catch that
So
before
the
it spreads.
surveillance testing would be twice a week. The pool testing is once a week.
So pool testing is actually called surveillance testing. We call it weekly COVID safety checks, so we'll do that every Tuesday. And then if you opt in, you'll be doing a weekly safety surveillance check with an antigen home test.
Oh, I thought you said Tuesday and Fridays.
Well, so Tuesdays is our weekly COVID safety checks.
Yeah.
And then the test kits we're giving out, the expectation will be you'll use those every Friday.
Okay, got it. I thought it was both.
Nope.
Okay,
So
thank
that's
you.
fine. You're welcome. Other question?
I was gonna just clarify something, but I think I'm more confused now, so it's probably not gonna. So I've heard people during this, Omicron surge say things like, well, that's why I'm not testing, because I don't wanna pop positive and have my kid be impacted and, so what do you say to people who are saying, well, I'm not gonna test because I can't, with those antigen tests, they're basically allowing you to, if you have symptoms, confirm that whether or not it's COVID, assuming you take it at the right time. But if you're asymptomatic, like you said, it's just, they'd have to be in the pool testing and taking it at home to really catch a positive.
Yes and no, although I'm very actually excited to learn that it was these tests that are coming out, because they are actually picking up asymptomatic individuals sooner because it's the newer test. So another shift with shifting from test to stay, which is what we've been doing in our district when we have 0 to 3 close contacts who have consented. And other districts around us do lots of test and stay if they're not a 3 to 6 school. The challenge with that is it's a by next now test. Those tests have been around for a long time, so they're not as sensitive to the new variants. These new tests are picking it up actually much better. So between having a double pooled PCR test and that, we should be in really good shape, especially the more participation we have. So my plug to people is, I understand about testing and that concern, but if we know where we all are, we can slow spread, and then together get on track or stay on track. That's my hope.
Just to clarify, you're either in the pool or you're doing self-testing.
You can do both. You can do either or both.
So if you really wanted to be tested
really want to do
twice
testing,
a week, you could do it.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, if you're vaccinated, weekly COVID safety checks are a great way to, because it's double pool PCR, catch you sooner.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or data you'd like from me?
Can I just acknowledge publicly what a great job our nurse coordinator is doing, Stacy and her team. We really wouldn't be able to navigate this journey without her work and her dedication to keeping us all well.
Thank you. The nurses have really stepped up this week. It's a huge team effort. They've been right beside me the whole way, and then this week when I called out, sounded the alarm, everybody really did 110%. So I'm very grateful.
Great. Well, thank you for everything that you're doing.
My pleasure.
And maybe at the next school committee meeting, we can have Dr. Parkinson available as well. I feel like we haven't heard from him since we started school. And I'm kind of curious to see if, we really haven't tried to do winter athletics like this during COVID. And so I'm kind of anxious to see how this goes over the next couple of weeks, particularly the cases. If we come out of the surge, but then all of our athletes are still getting COVID because they're more exposed, I just wonder what he's advising in other districts and things like that.
Sure, I gladly reach out to him, and I know Falmouth has not paused their athletics, and we're all still doing test to stay, and then Falmouth is switching to symptomatic testing and the home test as of today too.
There are a number of committees across the state who've required vaccinations to play sports.
I have to say most of our students are vaccinated who play sports. We have very few that are not, and those that aren't are participating in test and stay. So, and I do have the updated vaccination. We have 653 of our students in the district who have provided us. Now there may be more because they don't have to give it to us. So 653 students. So that's ages 5 through 18. And that's 1,292 doses. So again, it's rolling. People every day we get more information, so we are seeing that increase, and access to vaccination is definitely not an issue. And there are clinics daily between county, towns, and the pediatrician's offices.
Are you tracking or monitoring kids that have reported any residual effects of having contracted COVID?
So we are, right now, the primary thing that across the state and on the Cape and Islands we're seeing is individuals with a shortened quarantine or isolation where you can come back on day 5. Students are not ready to participate in gym days 6 through 10. So there is a Cape-wide, we are doing students don't return to gym until day 11, not when they return on day 6 if they do that. We are seeing a little bit increase in needing their asthma and allergy medication post-COVID. And this past week we've been seeing an increase in very high temperatures. So yes, we monitor every symptom, every outcome, and we are, at this time, it hasn't been a huge negative impact, but we are seeing some residual, mainly in respiratory at this time, and some cardiac just not having the endurance.
But so far what you're noticing is short-term impact or?
Yeah, again, they've only, with this variant things, it's only been a month, so, long term, it's usually resolved within 6 months.
Okay, so after 6 months, any residual issues have
Seem to have been resolved, if they're reported to us, correct?
Right, if they're reported.
Correct, yes.
Okay, well, that's good to hear.
Which is
I
good,
guess.
correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I also wanted to acknowledge Tim Muse. He's our athletic trainer, and he's very involved with Stacy when it comes to our athletes and positive COVID cases and connecting with the families. He's done a great job as well.
And he's also joined us with signing on for our weekly pool testing as a tester. So we have a great collaboration. So
Great, thank you, Stacey.
thanks. Have a great night.
You guys good?
Thank you, Stacey.
All right, next we have the superintendent's report.
So just quickly, you have the enrollment on page 19. 1,484 students as of 1/12/22. You also have a personnel staffing changes. You can see from the chart all of our new positions at the top. There's 3. Then you can see the unfilled positions in the middle of that sheet. And then we also said goodbye to 3 people. Sean Whittington is a counselor at Quashnet, Joanne Arnold, a paraprofessional at MMHS, and Ellen DeMello in the district office as our human resources administrative assistant.
Wait, is Sean Withington the one that always has Kiki with him?
Kiki retired.
Aww.
Yes.
We didn't get to say goodbye to Kiki. That's what I hate about COVID. Everybody leaves, we don't get to see them before they go. Oh, that's sad.
Oh, it was very sad.
Yeah.
You also have the report of our outreach coordinator, Consuelo Carroll. You have in your packet on page 23. I actually think I took the original packet and seeing.
Okay.
I don't know, the written is blue. Oh, maybe it's
It's
not.
a color.
Anyway, you can see the information on the winter athletics program at Mashpee Middle High School. You see the sports that we offer at a varsity level, and then on the back, the sub-varsity where it's boys basketball, girls basketball, and then you see the middle school sports. At the bottom of that page, it didn't seem to have that ratio, percentage there, but there's actually 684 students at Mashpee Middle High School, so 146 are participating in winter sports, which is 21.35% of our student body are participating in winter sports. Comparatively speaking to fall sports, where we have 38.4%. But you would kind of expect it where football is a huge participation at multiple levels, and you field a bigger team. You can see which two varsity sports are co-ops: gymnastics with Falmouth and ice hockey with Monomoy. And you can see our participation in each of the sports. And he did note at the bottom of page 1, we did do a pause from the 5th to the 12th. An update on anybody have any questions on those pages?
I just wanted to make a comment, because this is the first time that I noticed it, and maybe you had it there before, but the school choice numbers,
Yeah.
that's amazing. We have, what, 34? 33. More kids coming to Mashpee than leaving Mashpee, if my math is correct.
Yes, we finally have the confirmation numbers from Jesse.
Oh, I'm so glad you called that out, because we haven't had those
I'm
numbers.
very impressed. So, thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up.
So where's the going out on here?
It's in the middle.
Oh, now I see it. Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at the school choice across.
Right.
Gotcha. Oh, we're gonna have a nice little chart for that soon, Ashley.
The next item under my section is an update on the interim principal search. And we have hired Joshua Tarski to be the interim principal. He signed a contract yesterday. And he is able to come on board February 1st. And he will be at the February 9th meeting for a more formal introduction. But we are looking forward to his joining our team. He has been, up to this point and until February 1st, is an assistant principal at the Sandwich High School. And is looking to become a principal, so I would assume he will be throwing his hat in the ring when we do our permanent search.
Does he live on the Cape?
No, not that I know of. I don't think so. So we do have, Mary Kate O'Brien, do you want to give a quick little update on Washington? Principal O'Brien.
I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know, it has been a while. I think December.
Yeah.
Happy New Year,
Feels
everyone.
like ages ago.
Let's see, do I need to put this on?
I don't think the
Yeah,
volume's
I
on.
don't think it's, okay. So, good evening, and I am happy to be here this evening. I would like to take a moment to publicly thank Sean Whittington for all he has done for our school community. His retirement is well earned and deserved. However, we miss him, and Kiki. And students were so thoughtful in expressing how much they appreciated him. But we have a little stuffed dog out front named Patrick, not quite the same. But we do wish him well, and he has touched everyone in this school, so his loss is certainly felt. But I'm happy to report that we are moving along, and Session 2 clubs are going to start the first week in February. We have some great offerings for students, from sports and fitness club to a book club, basket making, creative expressions, which is a writing group, theater guild, K-Kids is always available, craft clubs and art clubs, to name some of those. So far we have 128 students registered for those clubs. So it closes this week, so I hope to get a couple more students. And those are held on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when we have the late bus. We also have floor hockey starting again for our 6th graders, and we're really looking forward to that. David Williams will be coaching, and they're very excited. It actually was funny, I had an email from one of our high school students in 8th grade who wasn't able to compete against the teachers here at Quashnet School and asked if they could have a rematch when COVID is gone. So I'm not so sure the teachers are up for a match against high school students, but I thought it was really quite clever. So good try. The other things that we are offering, and as Roxanne Mills shared, we do have the Wampanoag Cultural Language class, and there are about 12 students that participate, and that meets on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which is also bringing in more students for after school. And on January 24th, the Alpha program will start here through the Tribal Education Department. And so that's been a nice collaboration for us and to support our learners, which is just fabulous. We also are enrolling more students. So just this week, we have 3 new students coming soon. That first week after Christmas break, we had 3 more students. So it's been about 6 students since the new year, which is, been nice to welcome new kids into our school community. Last week, we began our winter benchmarking with STAR, and that's our mid-cycle review, and all students participate in that, and it allows the teachers to really evaluate the student growth and progress, and then also just evaluate what kind of changes and adjustments we need to make in instruction, curriculum, and environment. And that's able to be done through that MTSS block, which we started this year. This really gives a lot of time for teachers to evaluate that data, which just strengthens our whole program for students. One of the things with that benchmarking, because of the increased number of absences between staff and students, we did extend it through another week for that benchmarking window. So we hope to have that all completed by this Friday. So let's see. This is very exciting. So we have a new area in our school, and we're calling it the Nest. And the Nest is coming together quickly. We've ordered a lot of furniture. And the last bit arrived just yesterday, which is terrific. And the Nest is really dedicated as a quiet and calming space within our school. It's right here in the heart of the school, so it's accessible to all students and teachers. And this space really could be used for our counselors to meet with students in one-on-one setting or in a small group. Classrooms could also go and use that space for that quiet time. It's just a great spot for some problem solving as well. And often I meet with students to problem solve. And it's not a discipline, it's how do we solve a problem that arises. And to be able to move out of the office into a space that's not, you're in the principal's office, but less threatening and more comfortable, it just builds for that relationship and communication piece. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'd like to thank Ashley Lopes for all her help in organizing that, planning it, and paying for it. So, thank you. When you leave, you might want to take a quick walk through. It's right on the other side of the library. It's not quite open yet, and we still have to bring those last pieces in, but students have been enjoying it in small numbers so far. So we thought the Nest was a nice place, nice comforting name for that space. We do have the National Elementary Honor Society induction coming up. That will be February 3rd. We rescheduled that from January just due to the recent surge in COVID. But that is 5:30 in our cafeteria, and you're all certainly welcome to attend that. And that is, Mrs. Babbage is the facilitator for that, and she does absolutely a remarkable job. So, and just my last note is I'd like to recognize Nurse Terry as well. And I know she works so hard, and emails are going out morning and night, and she works so closely with Stacy as well. But we really couldn't do this without all of her work and her help, and we just appreciate everything she does. And that goes for the staff too. It's been a little challenging since we've come back from Christmas break, and just to have people here and be able to say, hey, someone's running late, we don't have a sub yet, can you help out? People have really stepped up, and I can't tell you how grateful I am to the Quashnet community for doing everything they can for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to check out the nest.
Oh yeah, check out the nest, it's great.
And Dr. Gulart?
I'm jealous of the nest.
It is.
Well, we have other good things, maybe not a nest. Well, first of all, good evening.
Good evening.
Like Quashnet, we have started looking at our before and after school clubs. They will start, I think it's the first week of February. We have almost 60 students who have signed up for those clubs. We have everything from Lego engineering to melody makers and Zentangle and walking and wagging. It's always the most popular one. So we're excited about that. That, and those will take place on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, both in the morning and the afternoon. We've also begun the process of replacing our Falcon Eye newsletter with a blog. Well, Susie Brooks and the office staff have been awesome, and they just tell me what to do because it's it's different than what I'm used to. But it is coming along nicely, and it should go live in a week or so, thanks to them. We also have opened our testing window for the mid-year assessments. I can tell by when I do the cards, I can tell by the colors of the cards the progress that we've made. I don't have hard numbers yet because the window's still open, but I see nice progress so far. We're totally optimistic that we're going to grow nicely. We've just begun the registration process for preschool, kindergarten. We are planning to reach out to the community through our social media, and we've already been in touch with the early childhood coordinator, Bethany Gay, for the Coalition for Children, and we have a couple of others that we want to reach out to let them know. And in the past week or so, we have welcomed 3 or 4 new substitutes to our building. So grateful for their help, and thank you, Central Office, for working on this issue. I know it's been a tough issue for all of us. And other than that, we're just chugging along. Kids are good, teachers and staff are working hard. We're happy over at KCC.
That's great. Thanks, Deb. Okay. Any questions for anybody? Good. Okay.
Okay, next, just very quickly in terms of the MMHS Stadium Field project, it was approved by the CPC group 8-1 for the amount that was requested. So our next step is to have the balance of the project approved by CIP, which we already talked about that date that's coming up on the 25th. I don't have any recognitions or acknowledgements right now. I think it's been covered by various people. And then just a quick on the summer, we're starting to do the summer planning for this summer. And we are going to run a 5-week program, 3 days a week. Genius Academy will /Camp Grapple, we're not sure what we'll call it. It will be similar, much more similar to, well, actually it'll be a blend of both. We do expect to incorporate more field trips, and we have currently posted for a coordinator to do some of the planning with us. But we do have a goal of making sure we communicate the options to families as soon as possible, because that's when everybody starts to do their summer planning. But it will go consecutive weeks starting July 12th, which is a Tuesday. We're starting it the same week as the Superintendent's Executive Institute because all of the activities will have to be at Quashnet this year due to work that's being done at the high school in the area that we would use. So that's the flooring work on the first floor, I believe. And so it will be here probably in the 5th grade wing, but that's coming up. We'll share more to come on that. Anybody have any questions about anything? I will say one more thing, since I don't think I see upcoming events listed on here, but just, I don't know if you do know, but the legislative breakfast that the Cape Cod Collaborative, organizes with school committees is February 4th, and it's gonna be virtual. And the 9 to 10:30 is the time that the legislators will be joining. We'll send you out something on this. And then at 10:30 is a student presentation related to diversity. But that is February 4th, virtual. So if you don't have any questions, we'll go to Ash.
I'm good. In your packet are my normal monthly reports. There's nothing major to note from last month. I have not received any questions yet about the packet. Does anyone have any tonight? Also, on your table is the school lunch financials that Dawn had requested at the last meeting. As Dawn and I were discussing it, we think it's a good finance working group topic to take back and look at what the Massachusetts legislature would like to move forward with and how that would impact Mashpee, and if it doesn't move forward, if Mashpee would like to take any action on that. But just to give you an overview of what's at your place, it's the financials from FY19 through FY22. Please note, FY20, the kids did leave halfway through the school year. FY21, we had our hybrid model up through April. And then 22 is still at a no cost to student lunch, but we're getting reimbursed at a higher rate from the federal government in our state government. On the second part of that is participation. So you can see, for instance, in FY19, that was our standard year. We had about 8.5% of our student body participated in breakfast, and approximately 40% of our student body participated in lunch. So that's how those numbers roll through. And then below that is just an FYI. That's the reimbursement rate that we receive from the federal and state government. Again, this is very detailed. And a lot of information, and it's something that probably should go back to the finance working group so we can work through it and have a better presentation or discussion about this at a future school committee meeting.
I do have one question though, on the participation, can you explain the ranges for FY22 and 23?
So for FY21, we had the hybrid. So at the beginning of the school year, we had a much lower participation rate, which was the 3% and the 13%, but as students came back full-time in April, it rose up to about 40%. So instead of giving a very low average number, I wanted to give you the lowest amount that we had and the highest amount we had.
And sorry, Dawn, let me just follow that up with one more question. So, so looking at that, is you could say that by the time we finished the year, we were almost back to normal, or like what we would typically expect.
Right.
And then in FY22, it seems like we're increasing, more people are, like so far, more people are buying lunches than we've had in the past, perhaps because they're free and subsidized. Okay.
Well, they're not buying them, but they're taking.
Yes, taking lunches, excuse me. And we're still doing bagged, yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
That was the item I was gonna point out. So FY 21-22 is brown bag lunches versus FY 19 and part of 20 was where they were actually serving hot meals. So our participation level, which is what she's showing here, is about the same as what it was, but it's difficult to compare. Would there be more kids if they were receiving a hot meal versus a brown bag lunch? who knows?
So just to share though, every one of those brown bags has something hot in it. Like they had breakfast for lunch yesterday with the syrup and the French toast sticks, and they've had eggs, they have, it's pretty impressive. So what happens often is there's some kind of container of something, like yesterday which was breakfast,
Okay,
but they also had the brown bag. So it could be the cheeseburgers in there, meatball sub, there's hot stuff in those bags.
It's just not,
Pizza.
going through the line, like
You
it
don't
would
go
be
through the line.
so that's really, so as far as the food they're receiving, whether they were going through the line in 2019 or getting it in a bag, it's basically the same food.
Pretty
Correct?
much, I mean, I don't see too many green beans or things like that, but.
Well, I was gonna say,
It's pretty
have we cut
similar.
down on the, what is it, the legumes? Is that, I don't know how you pronounce it, but
I mean, the service is much more efficient with this model because they're like, everybody's through the line and sitting down in like 2 minutes. It's very fast.
right, okay.
Can I just add to that what I noticed doing lunch duty is that there are kids now who take a lunch and bring a lunch.
Right.
And so I don't think it's necessarily apples to apples with numbers either, because I see a lot of kids do that and they're pumped that because they're hungry at the middle high school. So I would just put that caveat in there as well.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That's similar in our building as well, that you see kids get their lunch and have their lunch as well. It's both. And they save things for snack.
Yes.
They're very clever.
So, but before in the lunch program, we had a way to track who was taking a lunch and a breakfast. Now, do we have any idea?
Yes, they still count how many lunches go out, how many breakfasts go out.
But they don't record who.
But they don't record,
No.
so no,
Yeah,
you
it's not
don't,
like a
there's
swipe.
nothing's being swiped or?
No.
No.
And you don't know, based on this then, as a result, you don't know how many of those would have been free and reduced lunches
Right,
anyway?
right.
But, you know, my guess is that percentage, which was around, I believe, 40% or a little more, is probably consistent, if not having gone up some.
Well, if you look at breakfast stayed pretty consistent, so you're probably correct, Don. I mean, if that many kids are getting breakfast, the same amount of kids are getting lunch, so
I would assume.
that would be my assumption as well.
And at least then our high school athletes shouldn't be complaining that they're not getting enough food to eat. So, okay. Thank you. I do think it makes sense based on Ashley's suggestion that we discuss this further in a finance working group at some point.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you.
Make it so. Okay, let's see, so that's food services. So is that your last bit, Ashley?
It is.
Okay, thank you for pulling that together. And next is subcommittee liaison meetings, working groups, and we've got outreach and engagement working group. Kathy, do you wanna?
Sure.
take the committee?
So we met twice to kind of go over its annual survey time. So Superintendent DeBoer pulled up the questions from last year and some suggestions for this year. We added some new questions. We felt that we needed to kind of look at the cultural and cultural perspective of what the families are feeling, and we also decided we needed to ask the students as well. We wanted to kind of get a sense of what the students were thinking. So you'll see the two different surveys, one for the parents and the guardians to fill out, and then one for the students. And we were thinking it would go to Quashnet and middle high school. We're not going to obviously survey the Coombs students just because that would be a little tricky. So the questions kind of mirror, for the most part, we tried to make sure they mirrored the parent survey. So it might be worded a little differently, but we tried to make sure they aligned. And you can kind of see the new questions are in blue. That means they were not on last year's survey. Anything in black was on last year's survey, right? Yeah. So And if it's highlighted on the parent one, that means it was not included on the student one. Because we didn't think the students might know if they're getting communication from their child's principal or not, you know, it's a more parent-geared question. But again, it would be a Google, I think we're leaning towards Google form like we did last year, so it would be the same platform to kind of hold up against last year's survey. With the same kind of opening, kind of, you know, with the, if you have questions, kind of putting that up front with questions, email or call superintendent or your child's principal, kind of keeping that format the same as well, so.
And if you look on page 31 of the packet, it has a sort of a timeline for our 2022 survey. So you can see that tonight was sort of the first draft discussion of the draft questions by the school committee. We are doing focus groups, a student one and a parent one, the week of January 24th through the 28th. Then the final survey is going to come back here for sort of school committee final review. And then we're going to distribute it on the 28th of the Monday after our February vacation. And we will keep it open for 2 weeks with a reminder sent in the middle. And we're using the Google form, and then the student surveys are going to be that same week during the period 8 at MHS, and then at a time determined by Principal O'Brien Washington, and we'll close the survey on the 11th. And you can see up above, there's a little information from our prior year survey, so we're in the same time frame that we've surveyed every year. So I think if between now and, you know, preferably over the next few days, if you haven't had a chance to really look at the questions, it would be great if you could, because we do want, we've set up the Google form so that we can, you know, go through it with a focus group. And obviously, if they come up with some suggestions, we'll change. You'll see that the questions related to the block scheduling at MMHS, that what you see on page 31 will be included as a visual for the parents when they have to answer that question. And we're not specifically surveying the students because they've already been surveyed as part of the block schedule evaluation team.
May I ask a question? So the questions in blue that you added, they seem to be connected to a few of the priorities. You know, I recognize these from the ones that deal with race and diversity. Did we have anybody look at those, like Dr. Warnham, or do we pull those from a place that's?
We pulled some of them from prior year Panorama question bank. They had one on cultural, and we tweaked it a little bit, but yes, we took them mostly from there. I think the sense of belonging came from a couple of other surveys that we found. So 25 through 30 are really connected to the diversity, inclusiveness, and equity.
And did you consider maybe just running those by like Roxanne and maybe somebody
Brian was on the, on the committee, so do you think we need to get additional input from?
Well, I guess I'm looking at the perspective of a non-white participant in this survey. So I think that's what I'm asking about. If you're gonna ask about race and diversity, I just would like someone that is a person of color to
So
be.
Brian Whedon
on the committee with us, you don't think that his input?
Well, he's certainly a tribal member, but I would just, I mean, Roxanne works with hundreds of tribal youth.
Well, we'll make sure that we have someone on our focus group. You know, last year we had Tom Marie, so we'll make sure we have a good makeup of that group.
Okay. I guess I'm just saying, did someone who wasn't white write these questions? And I don't know that something that Panorama used 3 or 4 years ago.
It was last year.
Yeah, I don't know how those are developed. It was just a question I had. The other thing is, did you consider maybe not asking the names on the student surveys since they'll be using their school emails to respond to the survey?
No, I would prefer to have the names on
I would urge you to reconsider that.
there. The group, we did discuss that, we also discussed that as an administrative team, but the outreach group did as well. And having an open-ended question, it was much more efficient last year to be able to problem solve if someone had a specific issue that they raised.
I realize, I know your position on the parent one, but I'm just saying for the student one, they have to be identified in order to complete the survey, and asking a person to put their name in can be a barrier to truthfulness.
I guess I kind of see it a little differently. Maybe those students didn't feel comfortable bringing it to someone in person, and this gives them a place to, especially with the bullying questions, with the feeling of support. Perhaps they did not feel like able to bring that to someone. So if their name is on this and they feel this is a safe way to communicate that, perhaps this is giving them a vehicle to bring their issues to light.
Well, they can still be identified, and they can still communicate all of that. I
guess I just feel like it adds a layer of digging, whereas if they're easily identified, the problem can be addressed much quicker.
Okay.
That's just my perspective. I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I guess that was how I was viewing it, so.
And then they're emailing it from their email anyways. It's like a compromise.
That's a good idea. And then I think we should be really clear about what we mean about whether responses are confidential. So.
We have the descriptor at the beginning of the survey where we say, or you see it up there, that nothing is going to be reported individually to either to a school or to a teacher. It's only collectively.
But that, I guess this is where I'm getting confused, because I guess the goal of the student survey is to what? To
Help them.
The goal of the student survey is to help the students?
It informs us so we can make it a better learning experience and help them.
Then I think this first line, if I fill this out with my name and my last name, and I say that I've experienced in-person bullying, and someone wants to follow up with me about that bullying, then I'm not sure we can say that the responses to the survey will be kept confidential.
You can have a confidential conversation with a student about a response, which is not going to be shared publicly.
Okay. I'm just asking you because this is the first time we've surveyed the students, and I want to make sure that we're being forthright in terms of what we're collecting and what we're going to do with the information. That's all. And I know that who was the guy that presented on the Panorama survey at the school conference a few years ago, Patty? He's always doing presentations.
It wasn't a superintendent.
Yeah.
The guy from Framingham?
Framingham, yeah.
Bob.
But I know they do a student climate survey there. There are a couple, and so this doesn't seem like a student climate. It is kind of a student climate survey, but it's also more than that. So I'm just curious if we've talked to any of the other superintendents who've surveyed kids. Could we? Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything inappropriate, that's all. It makes me a little nervous. Anybody else have any questions on these?
If we have suggestions, who should we send it to Patty and you'll forward it?
And Kathy, okay.
Yeah, I have a couple. Thank you.
Got it, okay. Sorry, I wasn't trying to be, overcomplicate that.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Why it's here.
But I like all the questions, and the length is about what we had, is it,
Yeah.
are we keeping the same length? Okay.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we took out I think last year we had the COVID questions.
Well, I think it is longer than last year's because the only one we had The only one we had last year was about their learning model.
But it wasn't that much longer, if I remember correctly.
But we had the one question 24 last year, but we need to dig deeper into that. That's just a very vague, we can't work from that too well. We can measure, improve from last year because we have a baseline, but we really need to have, I feel, more specific targets and areas.
Okay. All right. Do we have, before we get on to the collaborative one, do we have any other working group? We didn't. Oh, I think we did. Okay. Don, do you want to talk us through page
So
34?
in your packet, pages 34 through 36, you have a memo from Paul Hinton, the Executive Director at the Cape Cod Collaborative. The collaborative is seeking to set up a capital fund or capital plan to guide how funds would be allocated for capital projects. On page 36, there's a list of what would be included in the capital plan and where the funds would be. These are really for renovations, maintenance, etc. Unlike here in Mashpee, where the collaborative does lease the property that they use, they're therefore responsible for improvements and maintenance on those. So what this is doing is setting up a plan, but it's not setting up a funding mechanism. So what would happen is if the collaborative had surplus funds, the collaborative board can allocate those to this capital plan. And so this is a legal requirement that we have to set this plan up. It doesn't mean that we have to fund the plan. If at some point the collaborative board would determine that they need to fund particular items, then there would be an assessment that would be applied to each of the member schools based upon the proportion of attendance at the collaborative. So really this is just setting up the groundwork for the collaborative to be able to have this going forward. There is no cost to Mashpee for doing this. Any questions? All right. So we need as a committee, we need to either approve this plan, or we can take no action, and then in 45 days from, what was the date? Basically in 45 days from when this letter was issued, which was December 17th, it would automatically be approved. So unless we reject it, it's basically approved. I would suggest that we should be proactive. And I will make a motion that we approve the plan as the capital plan for the Cape Cod Collaborative as presented. So that's my motion.
Great. So a motion by Don to approve this as presented. Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, Kathy seconds. Is there any discussion?
No.
I don't have any. If you're recommending that the committee do it, I'm happy to go along with it.
It costs the same things.
Right. Is there any comment from the administration on that? Okay. Okay, Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Okay, do we have any other items to take up that we didn't have on the agenda? And I don't see any public comments here in the meeting, so I believe we are adjourned.